Reading multiple choice, multiple answers, guided practice. Let's begin. The first question, you have to select all the options that are correct. If you want, you can pause the video, spend a couple of minutes, try to answer this. The answer, these three are the correct options for us. So how do we go about multiple choice, multiple answer questions? The very first thing we do, as in all multiple choice questions in the reading section, we start by reading the question. So based on the information in the passage, which of the following statements about today's advertising not true? That means the text is going to be about advertising, and the following options, they're supposed to be statements. They're supposed to tell us something about advertising, and we have to pick the ones which do not sound true. Okay, which ones of these are not true? We have to identify that. Now we go to the text and we'll try to skim through it. What's happening to advertising, transformation, forms and disciplines, despite conventional definitions. It's not about ads, marketing messages. They're multinational, multidimensional. They don't stay in place. Any place is ad space, online, new marketing. There's a fundamental change in the advertising vehicles. Traditional radio is losing share, etc. Okay, so I'll just read that much. It tells me in the first, it begins by saying that there are changes happening in the field of advertising, and then tells us something about how advertising is about messages, and the messages can come from anywhere, etc., not just the advertisers. Then there's talk about the ad spaces and how the forms, the vehicles for advertising have gone a change. For example, radio has lost market share to digital options, internet, etc. Okay, and that much is sufficient. It gives us an idea. So I won't go and read the rest of the last paragraph. Now, so I have to verify the following options against this. The first one, advertising is undergoing a vast transformation. And correct, the first two sentences, when I skimmed, I already understood the structure. I know they tell us that advertising is undergoing a vast transformation. So that statement is true, but we have to pick the ones that are not true. So that's not our option. Next one, advertising messages are now easier to understand and control. But no, in the second paragraph, we remember they say that talk about advertising and messages, and they say they may not originate with marketers or agencies. They may not even be paid for by advertisers. That means that's why they're not easy to understand or control. So, and this is also further if you look in the third paragraph. Authentic experience, online collaboration, new marketing is very difficult to predict and control. So this is opposite of what's written here. Here, the option says that it's easier to understand and control, but here it's written that difficult to predict and control, and also that can come from anywhere and can be of different types. So this is not a true statement, and that's why we select this option. The third one, advertising is shifting from traditional mediums such as radio to online. We remember in the last paragraph is about the market shares and how traditional mediums, they are losing out to digital options. So it's correct. The next one, advertising is being impacted by a convergence of media and technology. That again is correct. Advertising is now solely about online interactive engagements. Now we know that it's mentioned that interactive online approaches often are a fundamental way to engage, but it doesn't say that these are the only options. So that's why this is not true. See, this is how they try to confuse you, because a part of this option is correct. So the advertising, now it's a lot about online interactive engagements, and there's even a sentence which verifies that. But then they have inserted now solely. But it's not solely about online interactive engagements. That's why it's important that you read the full option and also you verify all aspects of that. Now the last option, so I will not go through all of them. I think you've understood the approach. The last option, advertising in today's time need not be paid by advertisers. Again, this is a confusing one, just like the previous. In the second paragraph, they say marketing messages may not be paid for by advertisers. Yeah, but it's not that they need not be paid. So many times, the advertisers, most times actually, they'll need to be paid. But sometimes the marketing messages can originate anywhere. And in those scenarios, they will not be paid by the advertisers. So this is not a true statement. That's why stay away from simple keyword matching whenever you see, and not just keyword matching, even if you think half of this option, it matches what's written there, still try to understand the meaning, because the way the words might be the same, but the way they've been used in the sentence or the sentences around that, they can change the meaning. So make sure you fully understand this. Here's the next question. The answers. Let's begin by reading the question. A model of mental health which is holistic will include concepts from which of the following perspectives? So that tells me the text, it's going to be about mental health and maybe some models of mental health, that what makes up mental health, how to take care of mental health, etc. And the question is asking me that a holistic model will include concepts from which of these angles? So the following, they are supposed to represent different perspectives, and the concepts or ideas can come from all these perspectives and they will contribute towards mental health. So which of these will be included in a holistic model of mental health? That's what we have to understand. Let's skim the text. Mental health can be seen as an unstable continuum wherein individuals may have many different possible values. Definition of mental health highlights emotional well-being, many therapeutic systems and self-help book. A holistic model of mental health. Okay. So right away, I found, and I was lucky. So in this question, the second paragraph looks like it is solely dedicated to the holistic model of mental health, and it includes concepts based upon anthropological, educational. So it also lists these different perspectives. So it becomes quite simple now. It includes concepts based upon anthropological. So that is there. You see, this is how they confuse you. Even I got confused because I got excited by seeing that there's a paragraph which directly answers my question. So the first option that I saw, it's archaeological, but it's what's written here is anthropological. So archaeological is not a concept. Anthropological is there. So that's why this is not this is not the perspective that we will select. Sociological, yeah, sociological is mentioned, so it's correct. Religious is there. Other one, political, as well as theoretical perspective. Social is there, but no, political is not there. Educational is there. Group psychology and sports psychology. No, that's not there. Yep, from personality, social, clinical, health. So group psychology and social sports psychology, that's also not there. Maybe they just added these options to confuse us. So then these are the three correct options. Don't forget that in multiple choice, multiple answers, there is negative marking. So you have to be very sure when you select an option. If, for example, if I select 3 and then I select 2 which are wrong, I'll get +3 -2, just 1 point. Okay, but if I'm not sure of any option, then at least I should make my best guess and select one, because in either case, the minimum score that I can get is 0. So why not make my best guess? The next question now. As always, you can feel free to pause whenever you want to try a question first and give yourself a reasonable amount of time to answer that question. Okay, here are the answers. According to the passage, which of the following statements about fast food chains are not true? All right, so this tells me that in the passage, I'm going to find a lot of statements made about fast food chains, and the options, each option represents a statement about fast food chain, and I need to check the passage to see which of these statements are not true. So the ones which are not mentioned in the passage, or the ones which are not mentioned as they are written in the passage, are the options that I need to pick. Okay, so let's understand, have come under criticism over concerns ranging, so different concerns. Intake of fast food is increasing worldwide. In the study are related to increase of overweight and obesity, etc. To combat criticism, fast food restaurants starting to offer more health-friendly menu items. Although trying to overcome criticism, fast food industries intentionally market unhealthy foods to children. Despite so much popularity, have adverse impacts not only on the job and social skills, but on the health and academic performance of students. All right. So, yeah, it tells us a lot about fast food chains. Begins by saying that they are under criticism for different reasons like health, animal cruelty, worker exploitation, etc. After that, says that the consumption of fast food is increasing, and because they are being criticized so much, they try to offer healthy food, healthy menu items now. Then in the next paragraph, they even advertise to children, which is not good. And then they talk about all the other adverse impacts of fast food chains and fast foods. Right. Now, let's check our options. Fast food chains have faced criticism over alleged animal cruelty and worker exploitation. So right away, I remember in the first paragraph, it mentions that they've come under criticism over alleged animal cruelty, cases of worker exploitation. So this statement is true, but I have to pick not true. So I will not select this option. In some places, fast food chains are being restricted by the government to counter their negative effects. No, we didn't. Are being In some places, fast food chains are being restricted by the government to counter their negative effects. There's an example here in the US. Local governments are restricting by limiting the number of restaurants. So it's correct. That means it's true, and that's why I won't select it. Next one, fast food chains are offering unhealthy food options in the guise of a health-friendly menu. Now, in third paragraph, they talk about health-friendly menu options. Now, this is mentioned there, but it doesn't say that it's not health-friendly, that it is unhealthy, just marked as health-friendly menu items. So if you just look at a part of the option, fast food chains and health-friendly menu, then you will match it with this and you'll say this statement is also correct. But if you try to validate the whole, then this statement is not true. So I will select this. Next one, are creating food items especially targeted towards young children. It says that they are marketing, they're advertising food and all of these things to children to create customers for life, but they don't say that the food items are specifically created for children. So this statement's not true, so we'll select that. Let's look at the last one. So fast food chains are actually hurting environment in the name of reducing packaging waste. It does say the impact on environment and all of that. And here it says the chains have responded by reducing packaging waste. But again, it doesn't say that they're actually hurting in the name of reducing packaging waste. It just acknowledges that yes, they are doing something to reduce packaging waste. So the statement's not true, so we select it. Now, something to note in all these three selected options, they're partially correct. So there's a health-friendly menu that they offer. Okay, that part is correct, but they're not offering unhealthy food options behind this health-friendly menu. So that's why it's incorrect. They do target young children, but they're not creating food items especially targeted towards young children. So that's why this is not correct. And similarly here, they are doing things to reduce packaging waste, but it's not that they're hurting environment in the name of reducing packaging waste. So that's why, see, this is a very good example of why you should read the whole option, understand the whole option and validate it properly. Most of the mistakes happen because people just see a part of it and jump on that. Follow the method, get into the habit of doing things properly, then you will find that, in just 2 or 3 minutes, you are able to answer a multiple choice, multiple answer questions, and also you will answer it properly. You will not depend upon luck. Here's the last question from this practice session. The answers. The question is, which of the following correctly highlights the author's view about using fear-based tactics? So the text is about fear-based tactics and author's opinion on that. And these statements, the options, there are different statements about fear-based tactics, each supposed to represent author's view. We have to pick the ones which correctly match the author's view based upon the text. Now, we start from left. Executive leaders must react quickly to current problems, and while honest, we will have the ability to be visionary, to do right. In the best-selling book titled 7 Habits, says every production problem is a capacity opportunity. One popular approach to making organizations more open is to resort to fear-based tactics. In short term, fear burns. All right. So the first two talks about problems that the leaders and organizations face. And the last two talk about how fear-based tactics help with those problems. Okay. Now, the first paragraph, the author believes fear-based tactics can be effective in the short term. And here there's a statement which says, in the short term, fear works. So this correctly represents the author's view. So I select then this option. The next one, the author believes fear-based tactics can make organizations more agile and flexible. Okay, there is a mention about agile and flexible, and it says that the organization will need to do is to become more agile, flexible, and nimble. But I don't think anywhere it says that all of this happens as a result of fear-based tactics. So this is not author's view. Let's see the correct option. The other correct option, the author believes fear-based tactics are most appropriate in certain cases. Okay, in certain cases. So we have to see where they talk about fear-based tactics and limit them to certain situations. More open to changes to resort to fear-based tactics, heighten the sense of urgency. time is running out and we'll all burn up or die. And in some cases, a fear-based is the most appropriate way. Yeah. So this sentence, the last sentence, correctly validates this option. So those are the correct options. Spend some time, make sure that you understand why each option is correct and why the wrong option is the wrong option.